Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving straight into a stack of notes today, pulling out the key insights from a real classic, the opening chapters of Dick Francis's Dead Cert.
That's right. And what we've got here is the start of a story that, well, it seems pretty straightforward at first glance, doesn't it? A tragic accident, in the world of steeplechase racing.
Yeah, a world we think we know.
But what's really fascinating, I think, is how quickly that surface just cracks right open.
So our mission in this deep dive is to unpack those twists, those unexpected turns, pull out the crucial details, and really try to understand how one single jarring event can just unravel everything.
And reveal something much darker underneath.
Exactly. Reveal a criminal enterprise hiding in plain sight.
We'll follow the narrator, Alan York, as he sort of reluctantly gets drawn into investigating. We meet some really memorable characters, some charming, some, frankly, chilling.
And we'll connect the dots, right? From that foggy racecourse fall.
All the way to a much larger, darker operation.
Yeah. So why should you lean in for this one? Because, well, this deep dive is like a masterclass in how danger, how intrigue can hide in the most familiar places.
And how just sticking with it, paying attention, persistence and sharp observation can uncover truths that some people really want to keep buried.
Okay, let's unpack this, right? Let's set the scene. It's a foggy February day at Maidenhead Racecourse. You can almost smell it, can't you? That mix of like hot horse and cold river mist.
Yeah, and the sounds, the hooves pounding through the fog.
So Bill Davidson is riding Admiral.
Mm-hmm.
This horse is meant to be unstoppable, the best hunter chaser in the kingdom, going for his 97th win.
97th. Incredible.
And the narrator, Alan York, he's right there behind him. Everything seems, totally normal, going to plan until it isn't.
That's the real shock, isn't it? Admiral clears the first fence, the birch fence, easily, like always.
Effortless.
But then, boom, at the very next fence, he just goes down. And the narrator is stunned because Admiral just doesn't fall. It makes absolutely no sense.
No. And the immediate aftermath is kind of jarring, too. Mrs. Mervyn, her horse wins because of the fall. And she's actually laughing about how lucky it was Admiral tripped up for a change.
Oof. Yeah, the narrator finds that really insensitive. Almost. Savage, she calls it.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, if there's already some kind of weird undercurrent there.
Well, what happens next certainly confirms things are serious. The doctor shows up, and his initial assessment is worrying. Concussion, yes, but maybe internal bleeding, possibly a ruptured spleen.
And he recognizes the narrator.
Yeah, he knows Mr. York, notes he lives with the Davidsons. The urgency is immediate. Bill's rushed off to Maidenhead Hospital.
And then there's that wait, a long wait. 4 hours at the hospital. The narrator mentions he's thinking about wire, which is a strange detail right then, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Kind of foreshadowing, maybe. Hints where his mind is already going, even subconsciously.
And then the nurse comes out, quietly just says, Major Davidson is dead.
Devastating. And for the narrator, it's a massive personal blow. He calls Bill the best friend a man could wish for. Just heartbreaking.
But here's where it pivots. Tragedy turns sharply into suspicion.
Right. The very next morning, the narrator doesn't just sit there. He goes back to the fence where Admiral fell.
Oh.
And there it is, a piece of wire twisted around the fence post about 18 inches off the ground.
Wow. That one piece of wire.
That changes everything, instantly.
Yeah, it's not just confirming it wasn't an accident. The method, right, a simple tripwire. That screams deliberate, planned.
Cold, calculated, not something done on the spur of the moment. It turns a terrible accident into murder, right there and then.
And that discovery kicks off the official process.
Exactly. He contacts Sir Creswell, National Hump Committee, who tells him, go to the police in Maidenhead.
So he meets Inspector Lodge.
And when he tells Lodge the fall was, quote, engineered, you can almost picture Lodge's whole demeanor shifting from, routine death inquiry
to something much, much more serious.
Yeah. Game on. So the police investigation gets underway properly. Inspector Lodge is leading it. And he's already gathering statements, and some interesting details are popping up right away.
Like what?
Well, from Mr. Dace, the clerk of the course, they find out about the fence attendants. 9 regulars, okay, but 3 new guys just for this meeting.
3 new ones. That sounds noteworthy.
It becomes very noteworthy because George Watkins, one of the regulars, he tells Lodge something interesting. Normally, they draw lots for which fence to man, right?
Shit.
But on that day, one of the new guys specifically volunteered for the farthest fence, the most inconvenient one, the one where Bill fell.
Volunteered? Why? That is odd.
Watkins thought so too. Said it was too far to walk back to have a bit on a horse, place a bet. So the regulars were actually glad to let him have it, less walking for them.
Huh. Okay, red flag right there.
Definitely. And this is where Lodge starts focusing his questions. He turns to the narrator, Alan York, asks about his relationship with Bill, and particularly with Scylla, Bill's wife.
Because the narrator lives with them.
Exactly. Lodge notes he's been there about 7 months, asks if they were good friends. Yes, very. Then he pushes a bit, asks if he loves Scylla.
Ooh, okay. Awkward territory.
Yeah. York clarifies, says he's extremely fond of her, but like an older sister, points out she's 10 years older. But he sees Lodge's expression, maybe a bit skeptical about the age thing.
While Constable takes notes. Classic scene.
Yep. And York insists, Bill and Scylla were very much in love.
So the formalities happen. Statement typed, signed. Lodge tells him about the coroner's inquest, that he and Scylla will have to testify. Makes a bit of small talk about racing afterwards. Trying to seem casual, maybe?
Perhaps. But despite liking Lodge, the narrator has this moment of reflection. He starts wondering, who put the idea in Lodge's head to investigate him? The guy reporting the crime.
Ah, so someone might be trying to deflect suspicion.
That's the implication. It immediately adds this layer of, internal politics or distrust within the racing world itself. The police are looking at the facts, but someone behind the scenes might be trying to muddy the waters.
It's fascinating how quickly an investigation can branch out, isn't it?
Yeah.
The wire points to murder, sure, but then the who becomes this complex thing, and even the person who found the evidence isn't above suspicion.
Absolutely. That one piece of wire doesn't just solve the how, it blows open the who and why, and shows how murky things can get.
So the official investigation is now, underway, but life on the racing circuit just carries on. Only 2 days after Bill's death, the narrator's at Plumpton races.
Business as usual on the surface.
Right. The weighing room is bustling, people joking, the usual frustrations. But interestingly, he notes the grapevine, the racing rumor mill.
Is silent about Bill's death, which is odd in itself. Normally something like that would be whispered about.
Suggests maybe discretion.
Yeah.
Or something else.
Could be. But behind the scenes, the grief is raw. Scylla is terrified for the narrator now. Says flat out, you'll be killed, like Bill.
That's heavy. How does he respond?
He tries to downplay the danger, comparing steeplechasing safety stats to motoring, but Scylla just cuts through that, pointing out how many more people drive cars than ride in steeplechases. It really grounds the danger for them.
Yeah, brings it home. And it's at Plumpton that he meets someone important, right? Miss Ellery Penn, Kate.
Yes, Pete introduces them, and the narrator is, instantly smitten. He says he was lost before she spoke a word. Calls her beautiful.
But she knows nothing about racing.
Not a thing. Never set foot on the turf before today, apparently, which is kind of refreshing, maybe.
And we hear about her Uncle George, the one she lives with.
We do. Described as fascinating, but also devastating. Uncle George apparently has very little time for horses. One end kicks and the other bites, that sort of thing. Hates hunting, too.
So why does Kate have a horse?
Uncle George gave it to her specifically so she'd meet more people, make connections, which is interesting.
Okay. Other figures mentioned. Sandy Mason.
Yeah, Sandy Mason. Loud guy, known for using his whip a lot. And Joan Nantwich, younger jockey, fair-faced, but with a bit of a reputation.
A reputation for what?
For stopping horses.
Ah. Explain stopping for us.
It's basically race fixing. Deliberately holding a horse back so it doesn't win. Maybe messing up the start, hanging back. It's described straight up as criminal fraud. And Joe Nantwich has apparently been caught trying it twice before.
Okay, so a known bad actor in that sense. And this creates a bit of a dilemma for the narrator, doesn't it? With his own horse, Forlorn Hope.
It does. Forlorn Hope isn't fully fit, so the narrator plans to ride him carefully, just focus on getting around safely, not push him all out.
Which sounds reasonable.
Right. But he wrestles with it internally. He insists there's a world of difference between stopping and not trying hard but willing to win. But then he admits, for the punters, the people betting money,
the result is the same. They lose. It's a tricky ethical line in that world.
Definitely. And amidst all this, another figure appears. Clifford Tudor.
Right, the guy watching the taxi driver fight.
Exactly. Tall, big, tanned, looks like a newly arrived tycoon, and the narrator feels like he should know him from somewhere, but can't quite place him.
And Tudor's got this air of authority. He demands a lift.
Needs to get to Brighton urgently. walks right up to Joe, and the narrator basically expects the narrator to drop everything, even suggests leaving Joe behind for a bit because the car's small. Very forceful.
So the picture emerging is complex. It's not just jockeys and owners. You've got grief, new romance, dodgy practices like stopping mysterious tycoons.
All playing out against the backdrop of a murder investigation. And the narrator's own life, his feelings for Kate, are starting to get properly tangled up in this whole dangerous mess.
Things seem to escalate for Joe Namwich, the jockey known for stopping. The narrator finds him in a bad way later on.
Yeah, he finds Joe drunk, actually, and pretty tearful. Joe's complaining bitterly about Sandy Mason.
Why? What's happened?
Well, Joe confesses. He admits he was supposed to stop a horse, Bolingbroke, but he didn't go through with it. He let it win.
Ah, and Sandy Mason.
Sandy apparently lost a lot of money because Bolingbroke won. So now Sandy's been threatening Joe, following him around. Joe even shows the narrator a threatening note he received.
A note, like physical evidence.
Yes, but the narrator notices something odd. The note arrived 10 days after the race, which seems slow for immediate anger.
Delayed reaction. What does the narrator make of that?
He thinks it suggests whoever sent it is playing games, like a cat and mouse thing, more about psychological pressure than instant revenge.
Meanwhile, the police investigation is affecting the narrator's living situation. Right?
Yeah.
He thinks about moving out of Scylla's place.
He does. He's worried about village gossip, county gossip, especially after the police questioned him about his feelings for Scylla. Wants to protect her reputation.
But Scylla wants him to stay.
Yeah, she insists. She's grieving, needs the support, especially in the evenings. Her pain is described as very raw, very real. He stays.
And his feelings for Kate are developing too.
Oh, definitely. He talks about how painful it is to be falling in love, wanting to marry her, but being anxious about whether she feels the same way. It's becoming quite intense for him.
Then there's that awkward moment at Kempton Park races. He sees Kate with someone else. Dane.
Yes. And Dane starts talking about the risks jockeys take, the jockey's wife's nightmare, the worry involved. It's thoughtful, but then he asks about Kate.
And the narrator admits he minds Dane's interest.
He does. Tries to keep it light, but yeah, he admits he minds very much. Shows how deeply he's fallen for her.
Okay, so personal complications are mounting.
Mm-hmm.
And then things get physical. The danger becomes real for him.
Very real. He gets this phone call, supposedly about a sick horse. It's a lure. He stops his car for a horse box parked in a lay-by.
Ambush.
Pulled inside by 3 men, no sick horse, just them, waiting. One of them, Sonny, has a knife, and the narrator notes he holds it like a professional.
Scary stuff. What does he do?
He has this odd thought about his father not approving of ransom pleas, so he kind of sags against a post, playing for time. Then he tries to fight back using some Mau tricks his cousin taught him.
Does it work?
Not really. They overpower him, slam him against the post, wrench his shoulders. Then a 5th man, Bert, arrives with a horse, but not the supposed sick one. They shove the narrator out as the horse box drives off.
He manages to land okay.
Yeah, he uses his jockey skills, knows how to fall, but he's injured, shaken up.
So he goes back to Inspector Lodge.
He does. Tries to downplay it at first, joking about reporting how I lost my tie, but Lodge sees the bruises, the state he's in, and Lodge isn't surprised.
Lodge connects it to the case.
Immediately. And Lodge has new info. The attendant at Maidenhead, the one who gave the name Thomas Cook, never showed up to collect his pay.
Ah, significant. Proof he wasn't legit.
Exactly. Lodge sees it as strong support for the wire theory. And then, the crucial connection. The narrator recognizes the attackers.
From where?
They were the taxi drivers, the ones involved in that big fight he witnessed back at Plumpton. Sonny, Peaky, Bert.
The same guys. So he asks Lodge the obvious question.
Right. If they were arrested after that fight, how come they were free to ambush him now?
And why didn't he tell Lodge about his suspicions earlier?
He explains that. He felt Lodge and Sir Creswell needed a clear run at the official investigation, didn't want to tip off the criminals by spreading his theories around, wanted to keep them off guard.
Okay, so the stakes just went way, way up.
Dramatically. His own digging has led to a violent attack. But crucially, that attack provides the link he needed. It connects Bill's death, the Plumpton fight, and this ambush, all through these identifiable taxi drivers.
So the hunt for the mastermind behind it all just got personal and urgent.
Absolutely, because now they're clearly willing to silence him.
Okay, so the narrator knows who attacked him, these taxi drivers from Brighton. He starts trying to track them down, right?
Yeah, he's actively looking now, asks around, gets a tip from a boot cleaner about a taxi line, maybe London Brighton. Mentions a young guy with sideboard that sounds like Sonny.
And Pete suggests checking the train station.
Right, Brighton Station, where taxis congregate. He's starting to follow the thread.
Meanwhile, what's happening with Joe Nantwich? Still in trouble.
He is still drinking, even before a race, complaining about getting another threatening note. The narrator advises him just to ignore it, suggesting the sender is just trying to mess with his head.
And Sandy Mason is still around.
Oh, yeah. Sandy's there, giving Joe dirty looks. Sandy even mentions to Dane that the narrator saw the wire at Maidenhead, acknowledging that's murder. Though the narrator points out maybe murder wasn't the original plan, just causing a fall.
Does the narrator figure out who's sending Joe the notes?
He confronts Sandy Mason directly about it, and Sandy just admits it. Revenge is sweet, he says. Calls it a fair cop. He's actually surprised the narrator figured it out.
How did Sandy know Joe was paid to stop the horse?
Sandy says Joe told him himself, bragged about it. Apparently Joe can't help swanking.
Does the narrator tell Joe it was Sandy?
No, he decides not to. Maybe thinks it would just escalate things further.
So the narrator's focus shifts to the big picture, finding the mastermind, this Claude Thiveridge.
Yes, that becomes his main goal. He figures the leader must be using phone calls for urgent stuff, avoiding traceable addresses or numbers. He feels like he's trying to be bait, but it hasn't drawn the leader out yet.
He takes a trip to Brighton with Cape.
He does. Checks the station first, doesn't see the ambush drivers, figures they're off duty.
Then visits Kate's place, sees Uncle George again.
Yeah, tea with Aunt Deb, very formal, Edwardian ritual, and Uncle George. George shows off his collection again, including that creepy scalp.
Still unsettling.
Definitely. Uncle George also mentions writing articles apparently for something called Boys Stupendous Weekly, which he finds hilarious. He's such an odd mix.
But the trip yields something concrete about the ambush.
Yes. The narrator drives with Kate to Washington, finds the farmer, Lawson, who owns the horse box used in the attack. Lawson confirms he rented it out about 8 days before to a man with a Brighton address, paid cash, no name given.
Bingo. Solid link to Brighton the taxis.
Absolutely. Then the narrator and Kate visit a pub in Brighton, the Blue Duck. And the innkeeper, Tompkins, tells them an incredible story.
About?
A protection racket operating in Brighton, demanding £50 a week, enforcing it by smashing up property using fake IOUs.
Wow. Did Tompkins pay?
He did it first, then he got Prince, his Alsatian dog. Prince apparently gave the gang members a nasty surprise, injured them. After that, Tompkins stopped paying.
Smart dog. Who do they target?
Smaller, owner-run businesses. Pubs, shops, cafes. Tompkins points out they rely on intimidation, but seems scared to actually kill anyone. Too much heat, prison, maybe even hanging back then, so they just move on to softer targets. He's even put an ad in the paper to warn others.
Okay, so there's this whole other layer of crime happening in Brighton. And back home, the narrator finds something in Bill's notes.
Yes, a really crucial detail. Bill's private notebook, expense jottings, and there's an entry, a £10 bet to win on Admiral on the day he died.
£10 to win. What does that tell him?
It strongly suggests Bill had absolutely no idea the fall was going to be engineered. He wouldn't bet £10 to win if he thought there was any serious risk, any joke or threat that might actually happen. He believed Admiral would win.
Okay, that rules out Bill being involved. Then Inspector Lodge adds another piece. From the bookmakers.
Yes, Lodge shows the narrator Bill's betting slips from Elsie Perth bookmakers. One bet stands out, a bet on a horse called Peripatetic, ridden by Joe Nantwich.
The horse Joe was supposed to stop but didn't.
Not quite. This seems to be another instance. The bet lost. But look at the odds Lodge points out. 11-10 against. For a horse expected to win, the odds should have been 11-10 on.
So the odds being against means the bookie knew something.
Exactly. It suggests Elsie Perth bookmakers were in on stopping that horse. It connects the bookie, the race fixing involving Joe and Bill as someone betting there, not participating.
And the narrator connects Elsie Perth physically to the taxis.
He does. He visits the Marcona Cars taxi office in Brighton, pretending he needs cars for a wedding. Gets info on the manager, Mr. Fielder, the switchboard, Tudor as a big client, the fleet size, 31 taxis. Learns Fielder isn't the actual owner-chairman, that person stays hidden.
But crucially,
He sees the Elsie Perth neon sign right above the Marcona Cars office. Remembers Lodge saying Elsie Perth was taken over 6 months ago. 2 shady businesses, one literally on top of the other. Too much of a coincidence.
it suggests a coordinated operation. Taxis, betting, protection rackets.
Exactly. Layers of criminal activity under one umbrella.
But the narrator rules out Tudor as the boss. Why?
Because Tudor saw the narrator looking closely at the taxi drivers after the fight at Plumpton. If Tudor was the mastermind who then ordered the horsebox ambush using those exact same drivers...
He wouldn't use men he knew the narrator could potentially identify. It would be incredibly stupid.
Right. The fact the narrator did recognize them actually proves Tudor wasn't the one giving the orders for the ambush. Someone else, someone who maybe didn't know Tudor had seen the narrator clocking the drivers, must be in charge.
Okay, so the net is tightening. All these threads, the wire, the horse box, the betting slips, the drivers, the businesses, the protection racket, are weaving together into a picture of a pretty sophisticated criminal network.
Yeah, the investigation has really mapped out the organization, but the identity of the mastermind, Claude Thieveridge, remains elusive for now.
And then things take an even darker turn, don't they? 8 days after that meeting with Lodge, West Sussex races,
Yeah,
Joe Nantwich.
yeah. It's grim. Joe is found dying, bleeding from his nose and mouth. The narrator sees him just before he dies, notes this look of profound astonishment on his face.
How did he die?
It's determined later he was stabbed. A knife wound.
God, what does the narrator do?
His first reactions are practical. Gets a stretcher, a blanket to screen the body, tells a nurse to guard it, then he just walks out onto the course, trying to process the shock.
And the big realization hits him.
Yes. Joe's murder changes the game completely. The mastermind isn't just playing games with notes anymore. They kill now. The danger level just spiked. It's lethal.
And the threat isn't abstract, it's immediate, right? After he wins his next race.
Right after he wins on Admiral, ironically, he's walking towards the car park, has a couple of people with him as escorts, and he spots them. 3 men waiting.
The same guys again.
Including Bert and the guy who took his tie in the first ambush. He knows instantly it's another planned attack. And he's outnumbered.
So what does he do? This sounds desperate.
It is. Pure adrenaline. He uses his race glasses, maybe a judo move on his escorts just to create a split second of confusion. Sprints to Admiral, who's nearby, unsaddled. Leaps onto his bareback.
Wow. Bareback escape.
Yeah. And the chase is on. He rides Admiral straight over a wire fence, through a plowed field, across a road, into some pine trees. Just pure instinct and riding skill.
Does he shake him off?
He hides in the pines, sees 2 Marcona cars searching the road nearby. He has to think fast. Rides back, creates a sort of fake fence line with branches, hoping to mislead them. Waits for a noisy truck to cover the sound of Admiral crossing the road again.
Smart thinking under pressure. What does he find?
He finds a 3rd Marcona car taxi, number 23. Parked further down, driver asleep, Corny Blake.
And he uses the horse.
Yeah, uses Admiral looming over the taxi to basically scare the driver into explaining how the radio system works.
The radio, that's the key.
That's the key. He gets onto the network, and he listens. He hears it, the husky voice, the mastermind, giving instructions to the drivers hunting him down.
Chilling. What are the orders?
Shoot the horse to stop him. He hears Fletcher, who he now identifies as the horsebox driver, and the guy from a previous wire incident in Bristol, likely the Maidenhead wire man too. Fletcher repeats the orders, even asks if they can just shoot the narrator directly. The husky voice gets furious as the narrator keeps evading them.
That's it. Incitement to murder caught on tape, essentially.
Exactly. Clear evidence. The narrator drives Taxi 23 near the local police station, ditches it, calls Inspector Lodge from a public phone box.
Tells him everything.
Tells him to get Brighton police onto that taxi now. Sees it, listen to the radio transmission, says the husky voice inciting murder will implicate Marcona cars, settle the whole thing. He names Fletcher, linking him directly to Bill's death and the attempts on his own life.
Does he wait for the police?
No. He gives Lodge some excuses, needs to call Scylla, check on Admiral, but it's clear he has another plan.
He's going straight to the source.
He is. Lodge's earlier work had already found the address associated with Claude Thieveridge.
Which was?
23 Regency Square.
So the final scene, he goes there.
He goes to 23 Regency Square, walks up to the door, and he hears it through the wood. That familiar hissing sound, the husky voice from the radio.
He knows he's found him.
He knows. He waits, counts slowly, giving the police time to secure the taxi radio evidence. Then he opens the door, flips on the light.
And the reveal.
The man at the desk turns around. It's Uncle George.
Wow. Uncle George.
The narrator just says, "Good evening, Uncle George." And the description is stark. The hate that flares in George's eyes. The humorous facade gone, replaced by this hidden, savage personality. This right here is the face capable of everything that's happened.
Does the narrator confront him?
Oh, yes. Tells him the police are on their way, tells him they've heard the radio transmission from Car 23, the incitement to murder. Uncle George even notes that Car 23 isn't responding anymore.
He lays out the charges.
Spells it out, says it'll mean jail for life at least. He speculates George did it all for her, for his wife, Aunt Deb, to maintain their lifestyle. And Uncle George doesn't deny it.
And then, how does it end for Uncle George?
The end is abrupt. The police arrive shortly after the narrator gets there. They hear a single shot from inside just before they enter.
He shot himself.
He shot himself. The mastermind behind the wire, the race fixing, the protection racket, the murder, it all ends right there with his own hand.
What a shocking twist. The genial collector, the eccentric uncle, revealed as this ruthless, violent criminal. It just shows you never really know, do you?
You really don't. Appearances can be incredibly deceptive. So in the aftermath, things start to settle, legally speaking. There's an inquest, an inquiry into Uncle George. It gets adjourned a couple of times, but eventually concludes.
But the personal cost is huge, isn't it? Especially for Kate.
Oh, absolutely devastating for Kate. After the inquest, she's described as rigid, filled with this acrid, unrelenting hatred for the narrator. She feels like he just destroyed her world by exposing her uncle. You see, the trauma has changed her, matured her in a harsh way.
Does anyone try to comfort the narrator about that? Lodge, maybe?
Lodge does talk to him. He's quite understanding, suggests Kate will see things differently later on. Makes it clear the narrator isn't to blame for what his uncle did.
Does Lodge suspect the narrator's role in George's final moments?
Lodge is sharp. He half guesses, I think. Notes the narrator's convenient disappearance from Brighton just before the police arrived at Regency Square, and mentions the single shot they heard over the still open taxi radio link. He doesn't push it, but he likely understands more than he says.
But there's still a loose end nagging at the narrator, isn't there? The go-between.
Yes, he can't shake the feeling that someone else, someone inside racing, must have been Uncle George's accomplice or informant. Because George himself knew next to nothing about horses.
And Joe Nanwich was stopping horses before Kate even showed up on the scene.
Exactly. Plus, Joe was murdered, seemingly just for that note, which happened when Kate wasn't even there. It points to another player. Lodge remains skeptical, though. Suggests Penn could have used form books, or the bookmaker Perth, or maybe someone just called Kate with tips.
What about Scylla? Does she find any peace?
She asks the narrator if it's really over. He tells her yes, tells her about the inquest. He tries to give Bill's death some meaning, saying he didn't die for nothing because it led to exposing Penn. Scylla, still grieving of course, seems ready to try and move forward with her children.
And amidst all this darkness, there's a glimmer of hope for the narrator and Kate.
There is. About a week later, he sees her again at Banbury races. She's calmer. She actually apologizes for what she said. She eats something, gets some color back, shows a flicker of her old self.
And crucially,
she shows concern for his safety for the first time. Asks about the horse he's riding. Forlorn hope, isn't it?
that's the opening he needs.
It is. He asks her to marry him right then and there.
And she says,
She just says yes, apparently with her mouth full of game pie. Simple, direct. He feels like she's really grown up through the ordeal.
but that unease about the racing world persists for him. The go-between question.
It does. He finds himself scanning faces in the changing room, even looking at his friend Clem, dreading the idea that another seemingly good person could turn out to be a villain like Uncle George.
And then there's that final encounter with Sandy Mason.
Right. Before a race, the narrator is actually unseated from forlorn hope. His own fault. He was distracted watching Sandy. Sandy comes over to help him up.
And something clicks.
Yeah, there's this weird moment. Sandy touches him, and the narrator feels this bizarre confusion, past pain from the Bristol beating mixing with the present. It prompts him. He asks Sandy point blank, why did Penn try to bribe Bill Davidson?
Does Sandy answer?
He does. Says it was the boss's idea, Penn's. Sandy claims he warned Fielder, the manager, that bribing Bill would never work because the boss was pig-headed and knew be all about horses.
Confirming Penn's ignorance and arrogance?
Exactly. And then Sandy drops the final chilling detail. The boss, Penn, thought up the wire himself and adds venomously that he wishes the wire had killed the narrator too.
Wow. Cold confirmation. How does the narrator react?
In the race that follows, he deliberately bumps Sandy's horse against the rails. Not trying to hurt the horse, but definitely trying to unseat Sandy as a direct response.
So the main threat, the mastermind, is gone. But the story leaves you feeling the corruption might not be entirely rooted out.
Precisely. The ripples remain. The human cost is clear. Kate's trauma, Scylla's ongoing grief, Joe's death, and that lingering question about accomplices, coupled with Sandy's enduring venom, suggests the skullduggery might still have threads woven into the fabric of the racing world. The central crime is solved, but the cleanup might not be complete.
Wow. Okay, so we've really tracked this thing from what looked like a simple tragic fall on a foggy racecourse.
Through this incredibly complex web, investigation, violence, race fixing, protection rackets, following all these threads, the wire, the horse box, betting slips, those taxi drivers.
Right down to the hidden businesses. It's quite a journey.
And the key takeaways here are, I think, pretty powerful. First, never underestimate what can be hidden just beneath the surface of, respectable society.
Definitely. And second,
How seemingly tiny details can crack a whole case wide open. That missed pay packet for the attendant. The weird timing of Joe's note. Those unusual betting odds. They all mattered hugely.
yeah, the small stuff adding up. And maybe the biggest takeaway, the most surprising one, the face of the villain,
Uncle George.
Uncle George,
Yeah.
with his quirky collections and, his generally amusing persona. It's such a stark reminder that a truly savage, hidden personality can just be lurking right under this charming facade.
Makes you look around a bit differently, doesn't it? Makes you think about the worlds you move in.
Absolutely. Which leads to that final thought for you, listening. Considering those loose ends, the go-between question, this whole confirmed network of, well, skullduggery, do you think the racing world, or really any world, is ever truly rid of this kind of corruption once it's exposed?
Or there are always just more layers, maybe still hidden in plain sight.
Something to ponder.
Definitely something to ponder.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the start of Dick Francis's Dead Cert. We hope it gave you some surprising insights into the complexities, the hidden dangers that can exist even within the most familiar settings.